So, I'm going to skip over samadhi and wisdom and really get into that next class. But I want to talk now about substance, truth, function. This is very important. Often in early Zen in China, they talked about essence and function. It's a little similar, but Zen Master Sung San breaks it down more meticulously. Thank you. Breaks it down more meticulously, which is very beneficial for our modern human. And what is substance? What is truth? What is function? So anybody who has been practicing with us for a while, gone to retreat, or been part of a group where you have Kongan interviews will know this teaching. And I have to say, I must have heard Zen Master Sung San say it in public at least 1,000 times. And sometimes somebody would ask him a question, and he'd say, "When you're thinking," and all the old students in the room would be like, "Okay, I know what's coming now," you know. So, when you're thinking, your mind and my mind are different. When you cut off your thinking, your mind and my mind are the same. Your don't know mind, my don't know mind, somebody's don't know mind is all the same don't know. Because don't know stops our thinking. Stop thinking, there's no thinking. No thinking is an empty mind. Empty mind is before thinking. So when you keep a mind that doesn't know 100%, don't know, that's before thinking. Your before thinking is your true substance, 실체 in Korean. Your before thinking is your true substance. My before thinking is my true substance. Somebody's before thinking is their true substance. Then your before thinking substance, my before thinking substance, somebody's before thinking substance, also this sticks substance, the substance of the sun, the moon, the stars, all universal substance is the same substance. So when you keep don't know, 100% don't know, that time you are the universe. The universe is you. You and everything become one. We call that primary point. So don't know is not don't know. Don't know is primary point. Primary point's name is don't know. But somebody said primary point's name is mind, or Buddha, or God, or nature, or absolute, or substance, or energy, or consciousness, or emptiness, or everything. So primary point has many, many names, but true primary point has no name, no form, no speech, no words. Open your mouth, already mistake. Only when you keep don't know 100%, that time you and everything have become one. So then I ask you, this stick substance, can you hear that? The sound substance and your substance, are they the same or different? So everybody, I ask you, sitting in your home, in your pajamas or whatever you're wearing, your substance, the stick substance, and the sound substance, are they the same or different? Now, some people already got that. Some people, what? If you don't know, only go straight, don't know. This is the first point in Buddha's teaching. Okay? All universal substance is the same substance. Actually, when I heard Zen Master Sung San in the first interview, he gave me this teaching. And when he said, then your before thinking substance, my before thinking substance, somebody's before thinking substance, also this stick substance, the substance of the sun, the moon, the stars, all all universal substance is the same substance. When he said that, I remember thinking, I've been waiting my whole life to hear that. Maybe I have that karma, so I ended up a monk. But that is the original point. All of us are just one being. It just appears in sky, air, tree, rock, plant, human, male, female, insect. That's all. But originally, it's all one being. If we realize that, we have addressed the fundamental issue of existence and non-existence. And that is the point of Buddhism. That name is substance. So your substance, my substance, is universal substance. The universe's substance has no name and form. It can appear as anything in any form at all. So we are all one substance. That point is before thinking. Cannot touch it by thinking. So we hit the table, or Imje Sansa, ha! Or Doksan just hit a person, or Guji raised one finger. That point, that's primary point. That's the first point of the truth of life. So if we, it doesn't matter whether we understand it. If we practice, one day we'll realize it. And you don't have to where is it? Did I get it? Oh, I got it. No, just live. But live in a way that takes some time every day to look back with a question. What is this? What am I? So that questioning itself is the path. Don't worry about finding an answer, Just look closely, question, pay attention. Every day. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. When you spend every day feeding your body, you spend part of each day washing and making it nice. Sometimes the young people, they go over to Apgujang and they get their body cut up so it looks nicer. We worry about the clothes we're going to put on it and where this body lives. Does it live in a big place or a little place? What's this body's address? We do a lot for that. But how much do we look back at ourselves, at our mind? What am I? So at least do that little bit every day. Then one day it just becomes apparent what we are. Name is substance. Your substance, universe's substance, same substance. That substance never appears, never disappears. That's the solution to life and death. This is just changing form. Just like the rice grows, it's just a little seed, water and earth, and suddenly it's a whole big plant. We take out the seeds, cook them and eat them, and the rest of the plant breaks down and becomes soil again. And then you throw another one of those seeds in, and it comes. That's the same as our body, same as our life, just like that. But if we don't realize our nature, then very attached. It's like a rice plant. It's like, oh my God, the farmer took my seeds. Oh my God, he just cut me. Ah! And that becomes our lives. Otherwise, it's just like, oh good, you ate, and now I'm going to become soil again. And it's just around, and it's not bad. Name is substance. Okay? That's what they talk about when they say Buddha. Realize your Buddha nature. Then, next, if we, for a moment, have this mind, which is beyond any opposites thinking, if you want to pass through this gate, don't attach to anything that arises in your mind, then that point, this point, you and the universe already become one. We experience this a lot when we're kids, but we soon lose it more and more. If you and the universe become one, then your body and mind functions just like a mirror. It just reflects. You see the wall, white. You see the sky, blue. You don't even think the words. You just experience it. You hear the dog, mang, mang. Sugar's in your mouth, sweet. You can see so many things on the internet. I saw this little Chinese kid. He's old enough to sit in a high chair, but he's not talking yet. And the mom gives him a slice of lemon for the first time. And you see this kid really gets lemon, So she puts it up and sticks it in his mouth, and he goes, and she pulls it away, and he's like, and then he looks at her with big eyes like, what was that? And then she puts it close again, sticks it in his mouth, and goes, it's like, wow, what was that? And then she's holding her hand here, and he takes her hand and puts it back in. This kid is like, cool. It's like you can tell it's so sour, but he's curious, Does it do it again? Woo. And one day she'll tell him the Chinese word for lemon, and then he'll think lemon. And the taste will be a memory. It won't be pure experience, That name is truth, okay? Shilche, Jili, but I even like better, Shilche Shilsang. Just reflecting what appeared. Just reflecting what appeared. That's not dependent on any opinion, not dependent on speech, not dependent on any words. And we experience that right from the moment we're born. We just reflect. And it's pure, and it's clear, and it's true. But soon our opinions start to appear, like and dislike, want and don't want, good and bad, and we lose the pure experience, and we start making my opinion. And when my opinion and your opinion are different, often we make a fight. So if we return to substance mind, moment to moment, then we attain truth, moment to moment, which is independent of anyone's opinion. This is what we mean. This is experience. So I think it's really important in my years of going around practicing and teaching to talk about truth, because what I notice is people don't see colors so much. We don't hear sound. We see our idea. What do I see? I realize from my own experience, eyes don't see form. They see color. And your brain makes it into a form and gives it a name. Stick. Yeah, there's a form there if you're going to talk about it. But what it's really seeing at most immediate sensation is boom, color. And then we create this form. Go back to that. Don't jump in so quickly with the name, or even, unfortunately, more quickly with the opinion. Then you reflect. And if you reflect, your experience is reflection, you're at one with truth. And if you're at one with truth, then you can do the next step, which is, what is the correct action or speech, the correct function? So we say, first attain my substance, then moment to moment try to keep that mind, then attain this moment to moment truth, then one more step, how do we use this moment's truth to make a correct human life? And we say that's correct function. How do you keep moment to moment correct situation, correct function, correct relationship? When we were given that teaching in the West, it was really cool. It's like, wow, what should I do? But I noticed, I don't know so much for lay people, but for a couple Sunims in Korean Sunims, I noticed Confucianism tells you what's correct. But it's an outside idea. Some of it is beautiful and wonderful, and it comes from nature. But some of it isn't appropriate for the situation. It's just a rule. So how do you distinguish? Only if you realize substance and can reflect truth naturally, then you can see what is the correct situation, correct function, correct relationship, not dependent on rules. And it's not arbitrary. It's the same as the wind blows, the tree moves. And that name is wisdom. So this is just to kind of clear up our intellect so that when we practice and live our life, we can kind of be more careful about experience and get closer to experience. And I'll give you an example of truth. In America, as soon as East Coast Zen centers appeared and then West Coast Zen centers, just like in most countries, different regions have different ideas. So right away, the East Coast and the West Coast Zen centers start fighting about various things, even though our goal is to attain our true self and make world peace. We can't even get along sometimes. I mean, it's not that serious, but still we would fight about things. And one day, some people asked Zen Master Seung Sahn, why does East Coast and West Coast Zen centers fighting each other? And then Dae Sunim said, West Coast people in America have many, many opinions, but don't hold them strongly. East Coast people have very few opinions, but hold them very strongly. So he didn't tell us what to do at that point. He just reflected the character with no opinion of good or bad. When I hear older Korean people talk about Gyeongsan-do and Cheollo-do and Chungcheong-do and Seoul, it's got opinions, you know. Yeah, Americans too. But if we just have a reflect mind that doesn't have opinion, then wisdom can appear according to circumstances. So what might be the teaching about wisdom? Zen Master Seung Sahn used to always say, you must put down my opinion, my condition, my situation. Then the correct opinion, correct condition, correct situation appears. So one time, one of our monks was telling me how much he disliked another monk. And, okay, I knew this is how he felt. And then the next day, he just came up to me and said, that other monk sent me an airplane ticket, so I'm going to go visit him. And I thought to myself, I'm from the East Coast. What? Yesterday you're complaining about this guy, and today, I'm going to go. Then I realized he's from the West Coast. So what he said yesterday has nothing to do with how he feels today. Somebody from the East Coast might keep that feeling longer. But the West Coast is just like, yesterday I hated him. Today I like him, so what's the problem? If we see that, then we're much less opinionated and we can work with anybody. Okay? So that's very important. So this is the teaching on substance, truth, and function. And whether we understand it or not doesn't matter. We have to practice. And if we practice, we'll start to have experiences that make sense. One day, this little Chinese baby will learn the word for lemon. And then later when somebody says lemon, if he hasn't made some strong thinking about it, he understands and he knows how to relate to it. You don't want it with ice cream, but it might be good with, fish or something, vegetables. So very important. But if we don't practice, then this is just another academic course. It's like talking about swimming and then you fall into a lake. Well, hopefully you've practiced swimming before you fell into the lake, or you could be in big trouble, even though you read all the books about how to swim. You just never did it. So please practice. So, in the beginning of the very first class, I talked about Hinayana Buddhism. In very simple terms, we say is going from something to nothing, from life and death, desire, anger, and ignorance, to attaining nirvana. Mahayana Buddhism starts with emptiness. The Diamond Sutra, the Heart Sutra, many of the sutras talk about originally nothing, But here's something. So how do we use it correctly to benefit all beings, ourselves and all beings. So Hinayana Buddhism is going from something to nothing. Mahayana from nothing to something. What is Zen? Not something, not nothing. Just do it. Now those are tricky words. Just do it means you and the universe become one, then one point, one action. In 1979, some of Sunim's Korean students who were professionals in New York City bought a building, and we were going to turn it into a international Zen center and a Korean temple. So Dae Sunim sent me and three an American monk and two other guys down to live in the building and break it all apart and rebuild it. It took us about 3 months. The inside, the main building, we didn't need to touch, but tear out everything inside and rebuild it. It had been offices. And at one point, we were tearing down the walls. It was lots of fun, actually. And we had these big, long, like in English we say crowbars, metal bars with hooks on them. And you could swing them and break through the wall and then rip the pieces of the wall down. And so we were having a great time just destroying this office. And it took us a couple days, and every night we'd gather it all up in big barrels, take it out to a truck we had, and drive around looking for a dumpster in which we illegally dumped all the trash. And anyway, we had a great time. But one time, the American monk, my friend, was on one side of the wall, I was on the other. And he smashed the wall with his long metal bar, and it came right through the wall next to my head. And I said to him, watch out, I'm on the other side of the wall. And I heard him shout, just do it! And he did it again. And I thought, I'm going to go over and just punch him in the face, But I didn't. I just decided I'm not working on the opposite side of the wall from him. So if that's his just do it, my just do it is move. But what we really mean by just do it is you and the universe become one. So actually it's a harmony action that happens without thinking. And we do that all the time, Moms and fathers do that. We do that with each other. The kid's about to run into a street, and without thinking, the mom or dad grabs his arm or her arm, So we do that naturally. But Zen means train ourselves, not just in the external ways of behaving, but starting from our very nature. What am I? And then see clear, hear clear is a natural development from when we're not making opposites thinking. And if our aim is to help all beings because we understand the pain of suffering, not just relieve myself, but help others, then naturally we can go from truth to correct function, And next week, we'll talk a lot more about that. Name is wisdom. How do we get wisdom? Okay, that's when we are moving from often from truth to function. Or it can simply be experiencing in a way that we just believe without saying, I experienced, nobody says, I experienced walking. You don't see a 3-year-old kid, oh, Mom, I experienced walking. I think I'll do it again, maybe tomorrow. You just do it, because it's yours already. Same as that. So don't go like, oh, I experienced substance or I experienced truth. Just do it, You're already doing it, but with attention and practice, you get much more skillful. And there's areas in which we're not skillful because we have strong karma. So just do it means that moment, everything is complete. Substance, truth, and function are clear without thinking. And it's all one point, and it saves all beings. And sometimes it's called when you're hungry, eat. Sometimes it's called when somebody's hungry, give them food. Sometimes it's called driving your car, the light turns red, stop. It's everyday life correctly. And it's just everyday life. But in Buddhism, we also call it great love, great compassion, great bodhisattva way. So we say, keep a mind which is clear like space, my true substance. Keep a mind which is clear like space. Use a mind like the tip of a needle, very meticulously, function very meticulously according to circumstances. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. And let's see if there's any questions, any kind of questions. Yeah, that's correct. Don't attach. It appears by itself. Thinking appears by itself. Don't attach, and don't make it more complicated. I remember Kwang Roshi, who is a Chinese American who practiced Zen with a Japanese master, Suzuki Roshi, in San Francisco. And he was visiting us at Providence Zen Center once. He and Zen Master Sung San were good friends. And we asked him a question also about thinking. And he said, one thought is no problem, but you rarely have one thought. It soon branches into lots and lots of thinking, and you're just somewhere else. So don't worry that a thought appears in your mind. Just be aware of it. And then it won't branch. Or if you branch a lot, some part of you remains aware of it, and you can just say to yourself, oh, many thinking today. It's like if the road is foggy, drive slower. If you have lots of thinking, some energy habit, be careful. That's all. So we have to be very careful what teaching words mean. Just like my example of just do it, or cut off your thinking. We have to be careful what they mean. Just like when you're young and you meet somebody and you say I love you and they say I love you, you don't even know what you mean yet usually. And often when you find out later, oops, mistake. So the more we're clear, the more quickly we see what we mean, and the more quickly we can either see the other person's mind, the meaning, or we can ask them a question about it. Anything more on that question? Did the person have something more? That's thinking. But that sounds like somebody who's like, okay, here's my situation now. I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this. That's not going to help you, thinking that way. It's not going to help you. If I say yes, you'll keep checking. If I say no, then you'll keep checking. Don't check. Then cause and effect becomes clear, and you learn, when I did this, not good result. And then you might throw it away and try harder. So that's a theoretical question that if I say yes or no, neither is going to help you. Don't check. That's the message at that time. Don't think about, is there only one thing? You come up to a stoplight. There's an ambulance behind you. Okay? Depends on the situation. Maybe if the road's clear to the right, you can move out of the way to the right. If it's clear to the left, maybe you can move out of the way to the left. If there's heavy traffic, what are you going to do? So it's all dependent on specific. You become one with the situation. It appears by itself. It's just like trees. They don't think about, well, which way should I move? Let's see, it's windy. Should I move this way or this way? Another question? Ha! Everybody dies early or dies late. I haven't checked the results, who knows? I don't even know if they got a result yet or not. I voted. I always vote. I figure that's a lot of countries you can't vote. Some countries it doesn't matter, but I vote every 2 years. I'm registered in actually California. And if I was in America, I think I would volunteer to work as a worker in the voting places because they need. And their job isn't to push you one way or another, it's to just help you be able to vote. But I checked the news way too much the last 4 years, so I decided I'm done. I had a very good experience, a bunch of them. The first time I sat at Shinwon-sa, the Berlin Wall came down. And I remember the Westerners had to leave during the retreat because our visa is only 90 days long. So everybody had to, the Westerners had to fly to Japan and come back in 1 day to renew the tourist visa so we could stay to the end of the retreat. And somebody went, and when they came back with a Time magazine. And the magazine had the picture of the Berlin Wall and people climbing on it and pieces of it broken. And we quietly passed it around to everybody. And I remember one of the German guys, and he said, I have to go back to Germany. This is a huge thing, 1989. And then he, forget it, I'll finish the retreat and then I'll go back. And then the next year was Iraq had invaded Kuwait. And during the retreat, I found out afterwards, America pushed Iraq out of Kuwait. We knew nothing about that. The next year, America invaded Panama. We knew nothing about that. The next summer, I was doing a 3-week retreat in Providence, and if some of you are old enough to remember, Gorbachev got kidnapped, and they were trying to bring back the Soviet Union. And I missed all of those things, and it was fine. So I'm kind of happy not to know who won at last after reading about this way too much. So, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll find out. Maybe nobody knows. This is the kind of election that could go on for a couple months. So my reading about it is not going to make any difference at all. I did my part. If I'm there and I had to do something else, I'd do it. But living here, nothing I think about it. No letter I write somebody is going to make a difference. So that's how I keep my center strong. What am I doing right now? Talking to you. And it's interesting. This brings up something Buddha said is the source of happiness. When there's something that won't help and you don't do it, you're happy. Because you bring your energy back to yourself, whether you're intending to or not. That's real happiness. When there's something that's not going to help and you don't do it, you're happy. Another question? If you want it, you can come and have it. I'll give it to you. Please. I'm living at Musang, so I'm not planning to go. Well, I go in and out occasionally. Come here, I'll give you the Zen stick. Okay, next question. Oh, great. Okay, everybody go home and sit. I forgot, you're already home. Okay, I give a short thing. Most people who practice Zen heard about 3 things that are important: great faith, great question, great courage, great question. Faith is just like this kind of, who knows why, but maybe, but you kind of feel like you do have some true nature, something true nature. And they always describe it as a chicken. The chicken doesn't know if it sits on the egg 21 days, the egg will hatch. The chicken doesn't know that. Certainly doesn't have a calendar next to him and, checking it off. But it does it. That name is great faith. So we don't know, but we try. That's a great faith. And that will always bring result. Okay, so don't wait until you're certain of something. If you believe in the direction, if you have faith in it, do it. Great courage is the do it part. Okay, and the example they use is a cat. A cat sees a mouse go into a hole. Then the cat will sit down and wait. And it'll look at the hole. And it may wait an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And the mouse will eventually think the cat's not there anymore and will go out, and the cat gets it. Name is great courage. Dae Bong Sunim tells a story of doing a retreat in a little cabin in America in farming country. And he had a cat. And one day he saw this mouse run behind something in the kitchen. And the cat saw it too. And the cat sat down and it sort of sat there for a while. And after a while, it just laid down watching where the mouse had gone behind the furniture. And he said it was time for him to chant. He went in the next room. He did chanting, 45 minutes, evening chanting. And then he came in to get a drink of water. And the cat was sitting there looking at the same spot. Then he did his 2 hours of sitting, and before he went to sleep, he went into the kitchen, brushed his teeth. The cat is sitting there looking at it. He got up at midnight, went in the kitchen and made some tea, turned on the light. The cat was still sitting there looking at it. And then he went in the other room and he started sitting, and suddenly he heard, and the cat came trotting out of the kitchen with the mouse in its mouth. So it had been looking at that more than 6 hours. That's called great courage. Then the final one is great question. Don't be scared by great. Great just means do it. That's what makes it great. Question. All of you have a question. Maybe your question is, what is Buddhism? What is Zen? Who is this guy from America talking about Buddhism? Maybe you just want to come and see me talk and seem kind of, stupid or something compared to a good lecturer who uses Chinese or something. Who knows what your question is, but you come here because you have some kind of question. Great question just means continue it, keep it. And what's the most important question? What am I? Or what is this? Everybody thinks that when we're around 8 or 9 years old. Almost everybody, and maybe you can remember for a moment at least, you're thinking, what is going on here? Basically you're talking about life, the world. It's just like, what? And then of course we forget, we get involved, and later that comes up, and many times it comes up again and again. And for some of us, like yourselves, it becomes even more important that you want to pay more attention to it. That's called great question. And the example used is like a child who doesn't know where its mother is. And there's nothing you can do to calm it down because it just has this big question. Where's my mother? Where's my mother? When's my mother coming back? So keeping a great question doesn't mean repeating all the time. What is this? What is this? What am I? What am I? It's like in the back of your head, no matter what you're doing, it's like, what is this? And an example Zen Master Sung San gave is, let's say a mother has one son, or nowadays daughter, and that child goes to a war zone. Even though the mother will get up in the morning, make breakfast, clean the house, maybe go to work, hang out with her friends, in the back of her head, never forgetting, always, how's my child? They're not thinking the words all the time, but in the back of their head always is, how's my child? When they're coming home, are they safe? That's a great question. Then what's very interesting is if we do it, if we just kept doing it, try, great faith changes and becomes great vow. This is my vow, to help all beings, to understand myself. It changes from, well, I think, I feel like there's something, to a vow. Great courage changes to great energy. And great question changes to great wisdom. So that's beautiful. So let's all of us just try. If you haven't read some of the teachings in the book and you want that, you think it'll help, read it again, a little bit at a time. But most important is every day develop some kind of practice, bowing or chanting or sitting or on your way to work, doing mantra, whether you're in your car or on the subway or in a bus. Do some regular practice every day, and it will make a difference. Just like water dripping on a rock. If a little bit of water drips every day, one day there's a hole in the rock. And if you keep doing it, one day the rock breaks open. So we've got this incredible opportunity. We're human beings. We've run into Buddha's teaching. In Asia, you grew up in Buddhist countries, but the Western people, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I really found this teaching. I found teachers, I found practicing friends, and that's a treasure. And that no matter what the circumstances of our life is, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Everybody has that. It will help us to feel the depth and value of life, and hopefully it will end up bringing us wisdom and happiness and benefit for ourselves and others. So see you in 2 weeks, and let's everybody try to continue this practice mind. And the next 2 weeks from now, I want to talk about samadhi and wisdom, also talking about konghans and using konghans and our teachings about konghans, not just about the formal konghans, but our everyday life as konghans, so that it's not so weird, it's not separate. And also how help others. Some good teaching from Buddha that really can be very, give us some very specific things we can do, not just, I want to help others, but specific things that if we're paying attention, we can do that are helpful to others. And when you help others, you're happy, even if it's just a little thing, and it's good for them, good for everybody, good for you, and good for the world. So take care, stay well, and let's meet again soon. Thank you. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. Good night. Good luck. See you again.